Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm super excited for tonight. We put a lot of work into it with FDM, our partner tonight, and I'm super excited about the topic and what we're doing. And it's our last event of 2020, which has been an unprecedented year in so many ways. But I'm very happy you could all join us. Any registration fees or whatever, we didn't actually charge members or anything, but any money that we got tonight is going to go ahead and benefit Dress for Success, and you'll get to hear a little bit more from them a little bit later. And then we're also going to be making a donation for Dress for Success as AWT. So we can go to the next slide and I can thank sponsors. Oh, I don't think I actually introduced myself. I'm Emmy. I'm the president of Austin Women in Technology. Here are our sponsors. We have Cirrus Logic. We have Apex Systems, Sana, Pimco, Charles Schwab, Under Armour, Axiom, Clear Data, BB Imaging, Revel IT, and ShipStation. Sure, we will have more amazing sponsors in 2020. Next slide, I believe, is us introducing Donna Ingram from Dress for Success. So Donna, could you tell us about what you have going on and what is up with Dress for Success in 2020?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking at this picture made me laugh because speaking of like not getting your hair cut, I don't have that hair anymore. Thanks for having me. I am the Director of Development at Dress for Success Austin, and we love our partnership with Austin Women in Technology. Y'all have come and seen us in the boutique, and I've actually been to one of your meetings before, and they're super fun. And I'm so excited to tell you what we're up to. We for the past 17 years have primarily served clients in our boutique and career center on the east side. And so our long-term plan was to move online, and the pandemic really just pushed us there immediately in March. So I'm proud to say that we took about a week of not seeing clients before we were able to pivot and move all of our services online. And I think like March 20th or something, we were up and ready. And so since then, we've served over 350 women, helping them stay on their path to employment. And that looks like them booking one-on-one career sessions with volunteers. And they see our volunteers now over a webinar like this or over the phone, and they just get help with managing their resume or looking at job opportunities, trying to map out some options of where they could do next. Anything to get to a job or a better job is what the volunteer will help them with. So that's been going really well. Our mission is also to provide clothing, and now we do that via clothing packages, sort of like Stitch Fix. So if a client needs clothes, she submits a form of what the job is and what the industry is, what her style is and her sizes, and then a volunteer packages up a box of lots of options for her, and then she picks it up in a no contact way, which is really safe for everyone. And the most exciting thing that we've done this summer is we realized that our clients are really suffering. We've been sending out surveys kind of throughout the summer just to kind of assess their employment status and also their well-being. And they were indicating that they're having a hard time. We saw in the very beginning, we were seeing like 40% of respondents were losing their jobs. And a majority of our clients, are very low income, and another majority are the sole breadwinner at home. And so this was super concerning to us. So we wanted to come up with a program that would help them become employment ready really fast. And initially I was calling it a boot camp, but everyone kept telling me that that was too aggressive. So basically it's a mentorship program that is over 4 weeks, and the client is paired with a volunteer that they meet with, the same volunteer over 4 weeks. And we try to make that partnership really align as far as like industry and interests. And they follow a set curriculum that was developed in partnership with a curriculum specialist. So we call it the 4 steps to employment, and that is goal setting, resumes and cover letters, navigating online networking like LinkedIn, and job searching. And then the final week is acing the interview. And so our whole goal is to try to work with them really in a really in-depth way over 4 weeks and see if we can launch them into a stable job. And we talk a lot about stable jobs because, as y'all know, Austin is expensive, and there's not enough talk, I think, in Austin about how much it costs to live here. You might see going to Target that they'll advertise they have a job for $13 an hour or $15 an hour. And that sounds like a lot, but it's honestly not enough to make ends meet and live within the Austin city limits. You really have to make at least $20 an hour, and that's for a single person. And if you want to live in Austin with a family, you need at least $24 an hour. So we talk a lot to our clients about what kind of jobs they need to get to be financially stable. My kids are in the background, so you might hear arguments over Minecraft. um, yeah, so we created the program. We took our time to really build it up, and we launched our first cohort in October that we called our beta cohort because we knew we'd be learning a lot. And we put 13 women through it. Sorry, they're getting a little bit louder. We put 13 women through the program, and so far about 9 are finished, and then the rest of them are kind of finishing. One of the most interesting things, obviously we're learning a lot, right? Like we're learning that we need some more training up front, we need a little bit more time in the end. And so but we're seeing a lot of great progress. The commentary coming out of the program through surveys has been just incredible. They say the sweetest things like, I'm ready for this next job where I can start making actual money. And I just need someone to help me get there. And I'm like, yes, let's do this. So we're going to adjust the program a little bit in January, between now and January, just kind of tightening everything up with training and curriculum. And then we're going to launch again at the end of January. And the goal is to really get 20 women per month to graduate this program and be ready to get a great job. So that's kind of what we're really focusing on right now. Excuse me. And then some cool things we've seen is, we serve veteran women who are transitioning to the civilian workforce, which is a hard transition because they don't always have the right, their resume don't use the right words, so it's a really hard transition. They're very talented and dedicated and incredible workers, but I think a lot of times it gets filtered, or they don't know how to talk about the transference of skills. And so what's really been cool for me is to see our veterans come through one program and then jump into many more. And so when we did this first cohort in October of our Path to Employment program, 3 of the 13 members were veterans. And considering they're less than 1% of our population, that's huge. And so we're trying to think more about like how to keep re-engaging with that population. So that's really exciting. And the 4 veterans events we hold a year were really popular this year and very successful. So we're super excited about being able to pivot and bring all of our clients online. There was a lot of intimidation, right? Because these women struggle with technology to begin with. And then we were saying, hey, join us on a webinar. And they're like, what's a webinar? And what's a video chat, and like, how do I get on it? And why do I have to know so many different types of video technology? And there was a lot of, it took a lot of work on our end to get them to these webinars and video calls in different formats. But when they did, they started reporting really cool and fun feedback like, wow, I've never done a video call before. I'm going to call my friend and talk to her over video. And I feel a lot more confident doing like video interviews. And so we're seeing that this has been, really hard, but that our clients are, they're resilient and they're going to keep working and trying and keep forging ahead. And we're just so excited to work with them. And so moving forward, and one of the bigger things that we're working on now is just being prepared for women to come back to work. I'm sure all of you have seen the desperate numbers of women leaving the workforce. And so we're just thinking a lot right now about how we can prepare ourselves for an influx of clientele in 2021. And I think the big thing to think about too is we don't just serve women who are at the bottom end of the income scale. We serve all women, regardless of socioeconomic status, and we welcome women from the LGBTQ community as well. And so we want everyone to know that you don't have to be looking for a low-end job to come see us. Like, we help everyone regardless, because it's hard to get a job, and having just a little bit of support is really incredible. So if you know anybody who's looking for a job and is struggling, or just wants some feedback on their resume or practice with interview skills, send them to us. We'll even give them free clothes that are really cute. So it's for everyone. We're still looking for volunteers to help virtually. So if you like connecting with a woman over webinar format or video chat, we would love to have you come and do a training. We'll be also recruiting for those path to employment mentors, which is the commitment is looking like an hour a week over 5 weeks. And that's an opportunity to really connect deeply with a woman who is ready for that next level and just needs someone to say, like, hey, you can do this. I'm going to walk you through the process. On the logistics side, we are not taking clothing in the store because of just COVID. But we are taking clothing and toiletries and such, shoes, handbags. And you can take them to any West Bank dry cleaning location. There's several in town. They have bins in the front and they're very friendly, and then they just bring it all to us. It seems like, I think if I need to look at our Facebook page, because I think we're short on like size 8, 12, and 16 pants right now. And we always need shoes on kind of the opposite ends, like super small and super big. Like I wear a 12, and so I'm always like bringing my shoes in there. Oh, the last thing I should mention is that we have our annual fundraiser, the Little Black Dress event, in February on the 20th. And this year, it's going to be super fun. We're going to do a drive-in movie at Doc's Drive-In in Buda. And we're going to screen A League of Their Own and have a really fun empowerment program. And tickets will go on sale, I think, in 2 weeks. So hopefully you all can try to make it. It should be really exciting and a cool way to go to an event, but also still social distance yourself.
Don't you have something this weekend coming up?
Unfortunately, we moved that virtually. We were worried we were going to have a sidewalk sale this weekend, but it ended up being just like the logistics of trying to figure out how to safely welcome people to even outside. We just were trying to figure out, it just didn't seem like it was a safe thing to do right now. So we pivoted that, but we do, thank you for bringing that up, because we do have a Poshmark site where we sell a lot of our clothing. Okay. And so you can go there and check out what we have for sale. We get so much clothing, something like 80% are not professional clothing. And then we keep what we can and we sell the rest, and it ends up being like an incredible revenue stream for us. So we welcome people to check that out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. If you can get those details to make sure that we get those back to Denise, we'll post those on our Slack channel.
Oh yeah.
And we can also, if somebody capture that and put it in tonight's chat. So the people for the, I think if my notes were, if I recall correctly from my notes, this ticket sales for the February 20th event go on December 9th, which I think is next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. That's awesome things that you are doing. I'm happy that you are helping so many women, especially veteran women. And I think now, do we have any questions that we can ask Donna, or can we put them in the chat and have her ask later in the evening?
I see one question, if you don't mind me answering right now.
Sure.
We love high quality, non-professional clothing. Yes, because we can sell it and then we use it for programming. And so if you have high quality, even like high end items that you're not using anymore, then we will use that to help more women get jobs. So we try to turn everything into a good revenue stream. Thank you for asking that question.
Awesome. Okay.
So your event in February, can you give us a date again?
February 20th.
Okay. And is there information on your website, or Emmy, will we get it out to our membership?
Yep, we'll get it out. It's already been posted in Slack. Denise posted it last week. So, but we'll get it updated, and Dom or Leslie, if we can make sure we get that captured for the recap email too, that'd be great. Okay. Now I'm actually going to turn it over to Meredith McConnell to introduce the FDM crew that's going to be introducing what they do for us. And I know they are also a big veteran sponsor. So what a dovetail between our two lovely hosts this evening.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Meredith. I just wanted to go through a little intro of all the volunteers we have here tonight. So I'm the U.S. Consultant Experience Team Lead. And then we also have Evan. Do y'all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm an account manager based in Austin.
I'm Betsy Montanez. I'm the University Partnerships Manager for the US, based out of New York City.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Vince Minick. I'm the Regional Manager for FDM Southwest Operations, so based in Austin, Texas as well.
My name is Sandra Abdullah. I'm also an account manager with FDM out of our DC Metro office in Arlington, Virginia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Josh Latta, and I'm one of the software development trainers based out of the metro area in DC as well.
Lovely. So that's all of us. Evan, if you won't mind taking it away and give everyone an intro of what we do.
Or, of course, yes.
And we have the slides. So Denise, if you can get those up and go through those. Thank you.
So yeah, if we just start at the other one, the one with that awesome looking map and the upside down weight, that's the one. Yeah, so we have a few slides for you guys today. Just wanted to introduce FDM and what we do for people entering the workforce. So we are the market leader in what we call the recruit, train, and deploy industry. We'll get into what that means in a little bit, but essentially what we do is we fit into this gap in the market where there are people who are trying to enter IT, who are coming out of college or coming out of the military, who are skilled and knowledgeable, but of course they don't have any experience. A lot of entry-level jobs that they'll see require 2 to even 5 years of experience to even be considered for the role. If you're coming out of college or the military, even if you have the talent and you don't have the experience, it's tough to land that first job. And the reason why that is because the customers that we work with do need to have young people on their team, but they also need people who can hit the ground running. We found that in the university system and in military installations, people are getting good skills, it's a good pool of talent, but they're not ready to enter the workforce. So FDM's solution is to recruit those college graduates and US veterans, train them in areas across the software development lifecycle. It's all done in-house by people like Joshua Latta there, who introduced himself before. Training lasts for about 12 to 16 weeks. A difference between our boot camp and other ones is we actually pay people during the training because they're our employees. And when they're done with the training, we will deploy them on site to one of our customers for up to a 2-year period. They get the 2 years of experience. And then once they're done, they are eligible to convert to a full-time position with the end customer. So for our consultants, for our workforce, it's good for them. It's good to get their foot in the door. And for our customers, it's good to get people who are more prepared than people coming out of the university system. I have a question here from Monica. Who are our customers? What kind of companies? So in the US, we're a global company, as you can see, and we're located in all those fine blue dot areas in North America and UK, Europe, Asia, Australia. But we mostly work with finance companies, although we do have a broad range of clientele. One of our clients actually that we work pretty closely with is Charles Schwab. I know they're a sponsor as well, but we can work with any company in need of somebody with IT skills. Yeah, so let's go to the next slide here. Brag about some diversity numbers for you. So just the nature of our model enables us to recruit from a diverse range of individuals. We have like a background agnostic recruitment method that we'll go into in a little bit. But essentially it's good at identifying people who have the skills and the talent. Maybe they're not from the top universities, maybe they don't have the right degree, maybe they don't have the connections, but we are still, our recruitment team are able to find people who are talented, who have potential in technology. And so for those reasons, about 31% of our workforce identifies as female. That's much higher than the rate of women in IT in the US. It's reflected in our management team as well. More than 50% of our management team are female. And we also have a veterans program, of course, in the US. We talked about those military installations we're working with. And we won Military Times Best for Vets employer several years, 7 years running. And we were one of a nominee, a gold medalist or whatever. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. So this is the selection process I alluded to before. Kind of boring stuff, so I'll just go through it pretty quickly. It'll start with an online application. We have a large university and veterans recruitment team that will work with the universities and military installations to build our brand. Through that system, a lot of people will apply to our website. Once they do, we have a recruitment team. They'll give them a call, assess them over the phone, give them some further online assessments like a video interview, a technical test. And then if they pass that, we'll invite them in to some, we'll invite them into an interview day where we'll further assess their communication and technical ability. And if they pass that, we'll give them an offer. If we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so once they accept the offer, they will come into our program in one of two pathways. I think the pathway most relevant to this conversation is the technical pathway. And if we could move to the next one here, it'll be my last slide. They'll start with some foundational training skills and like professional skills, Excel, like SQL and Unix. If they do well there, they'll move in to a more specific and specialized training stream, whether it's software development, business analysis, project management in IT. We also partner with some firms like Pega and Amazon Web Services. And then at the end there, you can see a more business-facing stream would be our risk regulation and compliance stream. Yeah. So if we can move to the next slide, I'd like to pass it off to Meredith. She understands the support or could speak to the support and engagement piece a little bit better than I can.
Thank you, Evan. Right, so after a consultant goes on site with one of our clients, we have a partnership with our clients. We give, ongoing feedback to the consultants, performance reviews, well-being support, further training. So it's really just not a handoff to the client. It's, we're still very much in the picture supporting you, making sure that they're doing a great job along the way so they can eventually convert to full-time, although that's not a requirement. But yeah, go ahead, next slide. If you'd like to learn more, you can follow us. I'm sure you're all excited to follow us on Twitter. You want to add us right now at FDM Careers.
Yeah, and put your phones down. I don't think Twitter can handle the amount of follows
Exactly.
we're going to get right now.
And so that's all from us. We appreciate your time. And of course, we're looking forward to the hack portion of tonight.
Yes. All right, I think networking roulette is up next. So for FDM folks who probably not joined us before, this is how we do our network mixing, or new people who've not joined us for an event before. These events, we always feel that the networking, getting to know people and making connections is one of the most valuable things that you can get out of our events. So we do a networking roulette. So we are going to give you our first prompt.
Back in. Lovely. So we are ready to go to the next slide and start our virtual hackathon portion. Lovely, thank you. So the whole point of having this particular event is to discuss what a hackathon is in the first place. A lot of us have heard of them and they're becoming increasingly popular, but we might have the notion that it's only something that is going to be coding related, but there's all sorts of hackathons out there. And we thought it'd be great if people would know what a hackathon is. They might be more likely to join one later on. So it's basically a big competition where people are invited to come with an idea or a product, and then they're going to pitch it to judges. It can range anywhere from being like, a handful of people to even massive gatherings of 200 plus. Going to hackathons can be a really great way to meet people and see how much that you can get done by coming up with an innovative idea that can actually solve a real problem or enhance a particular software that's already being created. But the idea is that there's always a time limit and it's a competition. The time limit can go anywhere from a few hours to an entire weekend. And those are the crazy hackathons where, people are sleeping under tables and ordering food and they might not sleep at all. But commonly though, those kind of hackathons involve writing codes and creating product before the end of the weekend. And that would be a digital product. But there's also conceptual hackathons where you're presented with a challenge that's faced in life. And then you can brainstorm ideas of what you want the product to look like, or ways that people can interact to solve an ethical issue. And then you would figure out how to address that without actually creating the product. So conceptual, thinking it up, but not making it. Usually a hackathon starts off by getting people together and introducing yourselves to others while you learn about what their skill sets are and their ideas. And then you'll join a team. And in that team, you're going to collaborate to create your solution or product. And you'll prepare that solution to be shared in front of judges in either like a presentation or a prototype, or by doing a demo, depending on the requirements of that particular hackathon that you're attending. So what we did prior to this event is invited people in to do a hackathon that's conceptual. And then once they came in, they didn't know what the topic was. We put them randomly into rooms and we said, okay, here's your topic. Now create a solution to that topic. And then they had 2 hours to work together to create their solution, to put it into slides, which is how they're going to present it tonight. And then also to do just one quick run through. So they've done a lot in the past couple of weeks to be able to put that together in a short amount of time. We're very proud of them. And we're interested to see what the creative solutions are. They have not shared that with their other teams yet. So tonight's the big night where they get to present all of that information to you guys. So exciting. Once the hackers are done presenting in their teams, the audience will get to take a poll on who they think the best solution came from. So if you can go ahead and go to the next slide, I can discuss that. So our hackathon challenge, the problem that we gave them is related to our 200 years of getting to vote as women. So it's a big anniversary for women's suffrage. And you can go ahead and click the next bits. So the topic was how to create a fully virtual voting system. Especially this year, that's a big topic with all the challenges faced during COVID and getting to vote in person. So our judging criteria for creating this fully virtual voting system is to have a realistic solution that can be practically implemented in our current day, accounts for diverse population needs, and is well thought out and dives deep into various aspects that need to be considered in creating this virtual voting system. And also, of course, the presentation in general, engaging, organized, etc. So keep those things in mind when you hear the 3 different groups tonight. Not all the participants were able to make it, but we have participants for the various groups here. So they'll be able to take it away whenever they see their team name pop up on the next slides. There we go. First up is Team BAP. Y'all take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're really excited to present. My name is Brooke Pippin.
Hey, my name is Bethany.
Awesome. If you want to move to the next slide. So we came up with a solution for a virtual voting system. Prior to coming up with the solution, though, we first wanted to take a look at the current system, understanding that it's working, right? People are able to cast their votes and decide who their candidates are. But we wanted to first look at that and acknowledge that it's working, but see where the areas of opportunity were with it. So with it, we looked at, these are the challenges that we came up with. That's not by any means the only challenges that there are with this system, but really we wanted to figure out a way, how could we make a virtual voting system, which we're going to refer to as VVS, how could we make it more accessible and inclusive for everyone? We really felt like the main areas, there's a lack of confidence in how the current system is working, and definitely some time it takes to count the votes, right? We've all been we were waiting forever. And so with that, the solution is a fully digital platform that we came up with where voters can cast their votes online. And really, I'm going to ask to move to the next slide, but the solution that we came up with, we don't believe we can just completely go national and be like, okay, everybody's going to vote on this new system now. We're going to start with that. We decided that we thought it would be better to start with local governments and schools before trying to move to a national solution. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Padmini, who's going to talk about that solution.
Sure. Thanks, Brooke. No doubt we have an amazing system in place for voting, but here at AWT, as we know, we want to make things better, right? So we tried solving few of the challenges by digging deep down, and our first topic or challenge is registration. We segregated this registration into two sections, like we made an authorization and we have an identity creation. We reuse the identity creation from our existing systems. So again, we didn't use it direct way, but we did modify it. For example, today when we create our SSN or license, right, after attaining an adult age, we would submit our documentations, proof of identity, but we felt if we have an additional step of taking biometrics and facial recognition data, this will serve as an identity proof for VVS. Again, what you say, VVS is AWT's virtual voting system. So getting back, now during this registration or during the SSN or license creation, the biometric information that we collect will, so what happens is once we have this information, before the voting, a step to register is eliminated, or I could say it's virtualized, right? So what happens, it means that using a mobile phone or an app, we will be authorized to vote at an ease from our home, because we know that we have authorized the right person and the vote is valid. Now that sounds interesting, but there is a lot more to it. But let's move on to our next section, that is security. An important aspect of any online system. VCS is no exception for it. VCS, that's a virtual voting system, will be enabled with advanced security systems available in the market. For example, in today's market, we have password-based authentication, multi-factor, certificate-based, token-based, and not to exclude the biometric authentication that could range between facial recognition, fingerprint, voice, and eye scanner. With the above said, security will always be our highest priority. Very soon, this brings us to the next topic, the method of vote. We felt there were 4 ways that we could cast our votes. One is website. This will very soon be the main chunk, which will replace the ballot systems. So instead of having a ballot voting machine, we will have websites. And we will have remote voting. This is for people who are out of the country, and also the military services serving the country being out of the country. We continue to have mailing service. We want to reuse the existing service until a new generation of people is earned, right? We need to earn their trust and they need to accept the system. So this brings me to the fourth and the last option that we have to vote, the accessibility. This is a main group of people whom we more often forget. By definition, accessibility means any hardware or a software technology that helps visually or physically impaired people to use a computer. So to address this group of people, we chose terminals. Terminals will be an appropriate device which will give, or I should say, it provides an appropriate device for each group of people. May it be visually impaired people or physically impaired people. And we also added another group of people into this, people who do not have smartphones, because we wanted to provide them an option of casting their vote and also authenticating themselves using our service. I know that's a lot, and we have a few more to cover. Brooke, over to you.
Yeah, and before you move to the next slide, thank you, Padmini. I think that the major challenge is going to be ensuring identification of the people who are voting. And that's why we spent a lot of time thinking about the registration. We do believe that it will be necessary for people to go register in person, just like any other government document, to be able to prove their identity and who they are. And so if you want to move to the next slide, we'll kind of discuss how this is going to happen. And so the two main areas here, how it's going to happen in the candidate information. We really believe that the how is going to be the biggest part in getting the buy-in for this type of system to be trusted. I thought about, we thought about Obama's Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act. And when that came out, I mean, obviously there was a huge lack of trust, as there still is in that system, and how we get people to buy into a fully virtual voting system. And it's really going to be an awareness campaign to get that buy-in. We're going to need to use traditional marketing methods along with hopefully some future developed marketing methods that will, social media, all of it, that will allow people, just like we get kind of all of this marketing right now, to get out and vote, to get out and register to vote. We're just going to have to shift the message to get people to vote. And so the candidate information, we thought this would be a really valuable piece too to add into the VVS. Instead of, people, you go to the ballot right now and you have the candidates' names and you have their parties that you can vote for. We thought the virtual voting system would be a great place to allow voters to be more educated on who they're voting for by allowing the candidates to have their name, a short statement, and the policies that they would propose. That way, the users and the voters would be able to have that information and be more educated when they're voting. If you want to move to the next slide. Overall, this is the summary of what we thought. We really looked and created the solution based off of what we found with the current flaws and how we could make the overall solution better. And with this, our goal with the system is to increase the inclusivity, the power, and the security of our democracy by ensuring that every vote is heard. And with that, this is our solution, and we're open for questions now.
Hi, this is Chris Benovich. Great presentation. I have a question, if appropriate.
Absolutely.
How does your solution address the digital divide?
Hey, Chris, I don't know if it was me. Can you guys hear me still? If it's
Yeah, even I couldn't
hear the question.
Yeah, same here.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Is that give me a thumbs up? Okay, great. Great presentation. I wanted to ask a question, if appropriate. How does your solution address the digital divide, i.e. the percentage of our population that does not have access to even a smartphone, the percentage of our population, even in big cities like Austin, do not have access to digital systems? How does your solution provide a voting mechanism for folks that do not have access to digital tools? Thank you.
So
I mean, if you're okay, I can. Oh,
yeah, I can take that.
I'll take it.
Oh yeah,
okay, go ahead. No, so in Padmini's part, we did talk about the casting of the ballot, and we did believe that this would be a huge challenge. And so we felt that not only the current community that has accessibility in terms of getting the smartphones or anything like that, but also we thought about military service members and that. But in terms of your question and how those members of the community who don't have those accesses, we still believe that we'll need to have the necessary terminals that they would go, not necessarily a ballot place, but actually a terminal that there would be security around that they would be able to go to physically and cast their ballots.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and also to add to that, right? Even if they do not have a smartphone, having a phone itself is valuable because we have something called as number system devices, which will give us an option or way to cast your vote using the number system. So that's a different section, but there is a lot more to it. But it can be created for people who do not have a smartphone, but do have a smartphone, but do have a phone.
Access to a phone, that's right.
Any more questions?
I'm curious to know, with the time limit, it was a bit limited on all the things you'd like to do for virtual voting system. So if there's anything else you'd like to add in, what would have that been?
A plan to market our system. That was one of the things that we really wanted to think about. And also give a little more deep thought of identities collection. So not just SSN and license, there could be vast range because we wanted to eliminate a process. We also thought about census being that process, but we wanted to remove that process altogether so that, the voting is not a year-long thought process. Rather, it is like, we want to do it, within few months, we should be able to do it. So we were trying to see what were other steps that we could eliminate from the voting thought process altogether.
Yeah, and I think one of the main things is that we really were concerned with was the overall security of the data in an election. I mean, we have in-person voting right now, and that integrity is questioned. So how can we ensure that a fully virtual voting system is also the integrity is intact there? And so that's what we really thought about around the security. And I think if we had more time, we would want to bring in all of the experts around data security, because I don't think we can either identify as that. And I think that's the overall security would be an area of an expansion for sure.
Lovely, thank you. Have any more questions for this team? All right, well, wonderful job, guys. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. All right, next group, please, or next slide. Oh, all right, I was on mute. Classic phrase of the year, right? Team M&S, you're up.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. So there are two of us here. I'll go ahead and start, and then I'll throw it over to Napur. So whenever the next slide is ready. So we titled our app, or our whole system, the Pajama Voting app, to denote that you can vote from anywhere, including in your pajamas. So the things that we were most tried to kind of force were the transparency, accessibility, speed, and reliability. So we talked a lot about building this out to make sure that rural communities were getting there, but we really wanted to focus on the security, on how we really let everyone understand how things were collected, secured, and made available to everyone. So we added a lot of options to add a voice text bot, to do a bunch of different sizing, to change on different platforms that could increase text size and decrease text size for people who were blind, hard of hearing, whatever.
And we also wanted to make things available prior to voting day. So a lot of people will get a sample ballot or currently vote absentee because they like the option of doing their research ahead of time. And so offering a web-based browser or the app that's not clickable, but that you can actually go into and kind of see who is on each different platform kind of allows people to do the research at the time that they are interested in. And so that kind of talks about our rollout plan, which we'll develop a lot more later. So the first thing that we want to focus on is building a browser app that really captures what people need in it. And so building something that is robust, that allows them to kind of click through, that has all of those accessibility features that everyone needs for all the ADA things, and making sure that it's really, really understandable, easy to use. We wanted to start with a small sample size, but that also gives a really great percentage of the population. So we chose Texas as the state to deploy it because it has major cities, it has very rural areas, as well as the problems with, ease of access to facilities that have voting locations, large numbers per voting location. And so it really gave us a widespread area to test how the app and browser system is working. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nupur.
Thank you, Mandy, for a wonderful starting of our app with our plan of how we're going to lay out our web-based app. Can we go to the next slide, please? And I'm going to talk about the technical features of our app. The reason we picked a web-based app because we wanted to make sure that it's available on all devices. People can just basically browse to it from your tablet, from your laptop, or from a cell phone. Our top priority was security because whenever it comes for voting, we all know security is a main concern. So step one was that we decided to block non-state IP addresses on our web-based app. So if anybody is out of Texas, because our first phase is Texas, they will not be able to vote on that app. Second was multi-factor authentication. Majority of the population have cell phones. So we can use one-time passwords or text messages to authenticate to our app when you're trying to register for the app or when you're trying to access the app. You can take a picture with your voter identification card as well using the webcam. So yes, we need a webcam. Everybody should have access to webcam who is trying to vote virtually. And I'm gonna try to hide my ID, but you can go closer to the cam and that's how it will see that you are who you say you are. And the computer vision functionality of algorithms can see like the picture of your ID and determine it's who you say you are. To answer the question that if somebody doesn't have a cell phone or how they're going to do multi-factor authentication. So they can use a YubiKey, which we can make it available in the libraries for people. So they can go to the library, pick up the YubiKey. That's how they can do a multi-factor authentication as well. We can use facial biometrics. We can look at the camera, different angles of the face when we're doing this. Of course, we also wanted to protect duplicate voting. So we're going to have a data deduplication implemented on the database so we can protect that. Second, we decided the review panel. Exactly how it happens if you have seen in the physical voting locations that bipartisanship and elected officials buy in. So we want to make sure that all the people who are participating right from the beginning of the creation of the app, along with the parts of the process. So when we are developing the system, it's robust. We are fixing the errors very early in the process, not towards the end, because we try to do user acceptance testing towards the very end. And then people say, oh, I think we need it this way. So we want to make sure that bipartisanship is there right from the beginning, along with all the parts of the process. Human-centric design is my favorite one. We wanted to make sure that our app is radically easy because we are going towards the digitalization of government. We wanted to make sure it's human. Like when you look at the door, you should be able to figure out if you need to pull it or push it, right? The knob should tell you the design of the door is so simple that we wanted to make sure our app is so simple and user-friendly that people can just look at the app and they can figure it out what to do. We use the option of find me instead of using a username and password because we all know we forget passwords all the time. So we wanted to add a find me. You put in your name, your email address, your phone number, and your ID information, and it will find it for you. You don't have to remember the passwords. So we try to make it easier for people. Multi-language support obviously is there. Voice chat bot and SMS text box to make sure accessibility is there. If people can read it, they can talk to a bot or they can text a bot and ask the questions about the dates of the poll, about the locations if they want to go there physically, if they don't want to do voting, if they don't feel, whatever their questions are, they can ask those questions from the bot. Even a sample ballot can be presented to the chatbot. Public libraries are there. I talked about it. We can have a YubiKey there for people for multi-factor authentication, dedicated computers in the libraries for the people who don't have access to a dedicated Wi-Fi, a hotspot, continuous involvement of review panel, and poll time schedule. And of course, my favorite one, I voted image on the picture. After you voted, we all want that, right? For our Instagram handle, for our LinkedIn stories that I voted. So we're gonna present that as well after the end. And you can pick the picture you want. If the picture the webcam took that day and you like it and you have a favorite picture, so we will provide a stamp. And yes, maybe a voting truck revolving around your community sometime. That would be awesome, right? Voting truck, they will drive around in the community and you can vote from the truck as well virtually, right? If you don't have access. And with that, I'm going to pass it on back to Maddie for the phase deployment. Take it away, Maddie.
Thank you. So if I can have the next slide. So this kind of talks through our phase deployment option. So we talked about how Texas is going to be our first development site. And we really want this to kind of, again, using that user feedback as we continue to grow. Our goal is a 4-year plan to get it through the entire 50 states. So first thing is we're going to work with a web-based only. So it would be just very simple. It's not going to be available beforehand for people to check out what their ballots look like, only available day of. But we will focus really heavily on making sure that every security feature we need and accessibility feature is going to be in there. This is going to include all polling stations for, whatever it can be, all the way from like school board elections up to presidential elections. Which obviously presidential will not be in the fall of 2021, but all the like major federal level ticket ballots. In fall of 2022, we're going to use that year to really focus on switching from a web-based app into a tablet and phone-based app. We want to make sure that we have about 10% of the people in the population are able to use this feature. And so it may seem like kind of a small feature, but we really want to just make sure that it's widely available and whatnot. So we're going to fix the feedback. And then this time, instead of just having it open on election day, we are going to open whatever the states in whatever the period of early voting is allowed. So you can play around with it early, you can vote early, so people are really having more opportunities to vote. In the fall of 2023, we're going to work through all the bugs and get the user information and feedback that we had before to just improve what we can, and then create more visualization dashboards for administrators. So this is basically, we all are kind of waiting on election day until that 7 p.m. What those numbers are. So this gives people who are in charge of polling locations numbers about how many people have voted, what the percentages is, and when the numbers are going to be available worldwide. So it can kind of keep everybody aware of what it's going on. And then when you vote, it can also say, my votes are available at X amount of time, or that's when they will be released from my polling location. So in the fall of 2023, we also want to expand this to 10 more states. So this is going to be a pretty big launch as we continue to grow, but still trying to make sure that we're keeping track of more, rural areas as well as urban areas and seeing how that's tracking. And so getting a good representation of the nation. And then, of course, we want everything counted on the same day, reaffirmed on the same day in fall of 2023. And then fall 2024, our biggest focus is just making sure that we have any changes for the nationwide rollout. And Nupur kind of talked about this, the voting truck. So this is basically an option for people who are a little bit more rural. We definitely want it in the fall of 2024. That's our goal, but we are going to try to offer it in smaller locations in more rural areas, and hopefully starting in fall 2022. So that's basically an option where we're going to have a truck, multiple of them, kind of going to the most rural areas with a Wi-Fi hotspot and with tablets inside, so that people who don't have access to internet, don't have access to anything, can come to these trucks and kind of figure it out. And so that would be it would be the marketing piece of that, trying to get them information about when the truck is going to be there. It can be sent by SMS and other methods as well, so that we can kind of communicate as well. So if we want to go to the next slide, we have our sample app photo. But with that, that's the end of our presentation. If we have any questions.
Not so much a
Well done,
question.
guys. Oh, sorry, I have a question too, but you go ahead, Josh.
Not so much a question. I just want to say that the phrase radically easy to describe an app is a fantastic phrase. That's all I got.
I, by the way, really loved how y'all thought about diverse populations, you know, going to the library or bringing in the Wi-Fi trucks, etc. That's wonderful. Not everyone might have access to their own device. However, I noticed that in the beginning you mentioned that you would do IP addresses that would not be outside of state. So what happens to all the people that aren't in their state currently in the day of voting? Did y'all think about how to address that?
They can still do mail-in ballots, right?
Fully virtual voting system.
I think we were just trying to be secure for now. That's why we blocked the non-Texas IPs. But yes, that we have not covered how we're going to do the people who are not in Texas and how they can vote virtually. But yes, we have to figure out a VPN tunnel probably so they can log into that tunnel and then vote. But definitely that's an extension. But yes, that is a limitation of our app currently.
Well, and I think too, that would have come up in the phase deployment part of it. So when we had the feature rolled out as a web-based only, if we had blocked that feedback, that probably would have come up from people who were out of state who wanted to vote in that way. So I think pretty early in our process, it would have been something addressed and resolved.
Lovely. I like how y'all thought about that.
Chris here with another question if we have time. I'm seeing a head nodding, so I assume I'm good to go and that y'all can hear me.
Yeah, shoot.
Super. I'm asking this in the spirit of my libertarian friends who perhaps would elect to not vote rather than provide their biometric information to the government. Aside from the obvious understanding that there are other ways that we already provide and give access to our biometric information, is there a way with your system to vote securely without providing biometric information?
This is a UB key. This is a UB key which we are planning to keep in the libraries. So people who do not want to give their biometric information, they can use this UB key as a multi-factor authentication piece.
That's great. Thank you.
Did you say UVP? What exactly is that?
It's a UB key. So you plug in, it has a code. This device generates a code, and then you enter that code in the app to tell that who you are, who you say you are, basically.
Gotcha. Any other questions, guys? All right, round of applause. Thank you so much.
I just want to say I do like the I voted image that I could share.
Right, everyone needs their sticker. Gotta get
Exactly. That's the one of my favorite parts of voting is getting to wear a sticker.
Same.
Love it. Well done. All right, we can go on to the next slide. Okay, Team Suffragettes, you're up.
Okay, make sure everybody can hear me. I want to thank you, AWT and FDA, for hosting this hackathon. I'm not going to mess with anybody's name, so we're the Suffragettes, all-girl voting group. Thank you, Josh, for your moral support. Next slide. When we thought about virtual voting, we thought about who would actually interact with the system. And we decided if we're going to create something, create it for everybody. So we created a platform that can be used in a classroom if somebody needs to use it, up to a full national election. Let me make this bigger because I can't read. Essentially, you can create, and for like a smaller classroom, you have an admin that can create one room code for multiple users, and they can just log in, do it. It's quick, easy. You can set up multi-factor authentication, but not required. And you can still determine question options for this section. For more national election types, admin can create everything. Election questions, very specific to your code, list of users allowed to even interact with that system in that voting section. Verification types, because we set up multiple different verification levels because of the sheer amount of voting options we are allowing, and timeline for acceptable votes. So you can still have early voting and you can still have a set end time. So everything is done at that specific time. And we also thought people who can't get out there, poll workers, because it's a website, can go out there and get with those people who need that little extra help, who need that availability to do it. That was one of our biggest thoughts we had, like how can every single person make sure they can fully interact with a national voting election, because a lot of people can't get out of their houses. What if my poor little grandma can't drive because it's a snowstorm and needs somebody to go there and help her? So that was one thing we were trying to get at. Next slide. Security was one of the biggest things we thought about, because the thing that kept coming up was, how do people guarantee that they voted for the person they want, and how do people not get in and see who they are? So we thought of multiple different verification options. There's always the basic two-factor authentication, username and password. A code can be sent out and you get it on your phone and you log in. You can do security questions. But the biggest one we thought of for national election is you have to have a valid photo ID. Everybody already has that. The government has it registered. So during that, you present it. If it verifies it's you, you're allowed to get in, because that's something you can do. Video surveillance. We thought for bigger national elections, you can be under full surveillance by voting. This was a way we thought to go against voter fraud. So if somebody is standing there, like watching you do this, which is fully illegal, there's a way to guarantee that. Also, at the end, it takes a picture from, we're thinking more national election, takes a picture of you. This verifies that you were the person who did the voting. Also, there's a coercion question. So you can quickly sneak something in there and be like, hey, somebody's like making me do this and I don't want to. So that'll, again, help against voter fraud. These are all features that can be turned on and off based on the level of security you want. So this can go down to, if you want a decent sized election at a company, that you can still have similar options. You can make sure that they're the person doing it, or you can have it for a classroom if you're like wanting to take tests on it. Any number of options could be used for this. The biggest thing we also were thinking about, the predetermined timelines for when votes are accessible. We don't want people getting the results of a national election before they're released. So that is limited. So when that clicks on, then you can see it. Because it's electronic, thankfully it's very quick, so you don't have the waiting around time. Anonymity, again, that would be in the background of the database. All the votes would be not randomized, but it's not linked to your identity. It just shows that you voted and here's your result in another section. We're also thinking, what if something happens with our server connectivity? You can go back in and check your vote. You can make sure that you actually voted and is registered in the system. So that is something we tried to think about, because we all know computers crash or servers crash. So how do you, go and check that? Again, the system can be turned on and off. You can go back and check your vote. That might not be good for a national election, but that might be nice if you're doing, an online test or classroom voting, so you can re-see it. Next slide. Design and functionality. Website, it's easy. But it also works. Everybody knows how to use a website. It's been thought of. It's also been designed to do mobile platforms. So we thought, hey, you can customize, so it's customizable. We also thought, what if people want to use it? You also want your pretty logo in the corner, so you can make the website as pretty or as basic as you need to for whatever option it is. You can, different types of questions. You can do write-in, multiple choice, true, false. The world's your oyster. We were also thinking, as a way to do it, because you want interaction and make sure that your vote is counted, user can receive information for vote. You can get email, text, mail, and options, which is where you're thinking you can get your super voting sticker. So you can still put it on your chest and get your picture because everybody wants that. You have to have a responsive website. Our biggest thought was, what if you don't have a computer? Text and options are available. There's AIs nowadays where you can interact with something that will not vote for you, but will put in pre-populated information for you. So you can say, hey, I want to vote for this, and it'll ask you a question, you type it in. Email can be designed the same way. It's like you're interacting with a human, and that is going to be built in our functionality. So if you don't have access to only a cell phone, that's available. Our biggest thought was, what if somebody has an issue and they don't understand? We want to make sure a frequently asked questions section is available as an option to either put in, especially for national websites. How do you use it? How do you do? What are security features to make sure that is there and design in the website to be available so we have full visibility of everything that's going on. And then you're, of course, submitted a review page. You can review the accuracy, time, date, submission of pictures, everything, and that can be added or removed based on everything. But then you can do that secondary check before you submit your answers that everything is right. Next question. Next slide. There's one more. And again, our biggest thought was, how can everybody use this system? An elderly person who didn't, or somebody who doesn't understand tech, somebody can go out and do it. There was also the frequently asked questions section that can help them, at least they can look it up on the spot. Person lacking resources. Everybody has the availability because it's through mail, through email, through text, through a website that can work on a tablet, can work on a phone. Also, we're gonna, so if it doesn't trust technology, everything is anonymized. So that's our biggest feature, is how separating out those two functions. Doesn't trust the voting outcome. Everything's reviewable. You can review it right then and there. You can get an email saying you voted. You can go back in and check to make sure it actually registered in the system. Again, barriers to entry will be set. And then all the different accesses are available for the people if they don't have the option. We wanted to make sure it was there. Also, because of this, we can send somebody out. We can send a poll worker, per se, out to make sure that everybody can vote and they have that availability. So you're not stuck dealing with it. So if you don't have the resources, you got it. And that's it.
Yay, good job. Lovely, lovely.
I said it.
All right, so let's open up for questions. What questions do we have for this team?
So I just wanted to ask, was having the photo authentication, is that a requirement or an option?
It's an option. So we tried to design it so everything was fully customizable. We're trying to think of a national election. It might be nice to have that picture available so you can verify that it was you doing it if something comes up later. But if a classroom wants to use it, oh, how many layers of security do you have to go through just to vote in a classroom? No, you can chop it out.
Right. Because we actually don't require photo identification for elections now, because there are many folks, especially in different socioeconomic backgrounds, that don't have photo ID because they don't have driver's licenses, et cetera. So it's nice that it's not a requirement.
Well, we talked about that too, if I can jump in. Hello.
Yeah, of course.
But we also talked about not necessarily making it a state issued ID so that it's not, such a high level of like a very specific ID, because you can still go get, an eligible ID, even if you are homeless or, can't get access to your local DMV because, right now we're in a pandemic or something. So we did talk about the idea of the admin being able to set what exactly was the legal, ID that we wanted to set, so that they could have a little bit more authentication, levels there too.
Great, thanks.
Hi guys, I'll ask a question if that's okay. What do you think the hardest part of your solution, what's the hardest part to implement?
Ooh. For me, I was thinking how to separate out
like for a national election, your name versus your voting history. So nobody can go in and actually get that information off the database because that's a big security risk. So we don't want somebody getting in there and be like, oh, we know you voted for this person and threaten you.
I
Or
also-
praise you, one way or the other.
On the database side of things, we had talked about, and I know we were only supposed to talk conceptual ideas, but we did kind of get into like what kind of database we would like to use, how we would use it. So we got a little bit more techie at some point just in our chats. And we did talk about, because we want to be able to store like potential pictures that we take at the end and videos, like making a specific database that could actually store such large files. So like certain databases that can't hold file types, you'd have to make sure that you are using the correct one that could, and things like that. So I think that would be, for me, what I thought the hardest implementation was.
Great, thank you.
Chris here with a question.
Hey, Chris.
Hi. This year in 2020, election officials were difficult to hire, in part due to safety measures with the pandemic, also because of the aging out of many election officials. The concept that you have of the admin, how will the admins be sourced differently? And how will they be vetted differently than traditional election officials?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, we didn't directly discuss that, but I don't get why it couldn't be still volunteer based. With this, a lot of the virtual voting systems, you'd actually need less people because everybody, you wouldn't have to be like having people like watched constantly. You'd be able to do it from home. And so I think you could get a more smaller group, which means you can get more specific types of people getting in there.
Well, and then we did make sure that we wanted a system that, like we talked about, could vary in population sizes, like so from a small classroom setting to a national election. So then if you go with the smaller side of things, then the admin just becomes the person that wants to create it. So if I'm a teacher, I'm just the admin for that. So then there is really no vetting option, at least in the smaller side. But that's a toughie for the big one. Good question.
I'm thinking it'd have to be a government to set up the full national election, be a government group for like the voting, would be the full admin for that voting system. But I was thinking, originally I was just thinking the poll workers.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
All right, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Well done. Okay, cool. Next slide, please. And by the way, I would love to get a group photo. So if you don't mind, everyone, love to see your beautiful faces. If you can please put on your camera for a second. I'm going to do a little print screen or screen photo, whatever you call that. Just getting to celebrate with y'all. Okay. People coming in. There
Chris,
we go.
what are you holding? Because that's adorable.
All right. So everyone, here we go. Put your smile face on. Keep your eyes open. Try not to blink. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to do one more just in case we had blinkers. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it. So this next part I'm going to need some help with. And by the way, thank you all. That was really insightful. You had really creative solutions, and I love all the stuff you were able to get done in just 2 hours. Hopefully the US will have something like this down the line. We shall see. Then we are going to need to do a poll. So as an audience member, you'll get to decide who the winner is. If you can just click through a couple little bits here. We've got the judging criteria up on the slide to keep in mind that we have a realistic solution. And there we go. Thank you. So we're looking for a realistic solution that can be practically implemented in our current day. Accounts for the diverse populations, is well thought out and dives deep into various aspects that should be considered. And of course, the organization of the information and engagement of the presentation on the solution. So each winner of the winning teams, or each member of the winning team, will receive a $30 Amazon gift card from FDM, as we appreciate y'all doing this hack. And we're gonna go ahead and put a poll. Yes, we are gonna put a poll on your screen here momentarily, and you'll be able to vote for the teams as like team 1, 2, and 3, I believe. And the first team was Team BAP. The second team was Team
We put the team names there.
Oh, lovely, great. And then the third one was the suffragettes. So go ahead and take a moment to decide.
There's 2 questions in the poll. One, would you like to participate in one like this for 2021? That'll help us, AWT, for programming for 2021. And then who is going to be your winner? And while you guys are all deciding your votes, Meredith and I did not participate in the actual hacks on the 17th. We just bounced around from group to group that evening, and it was a lot of fun, I have to say, to like just go see how each of you groups worked differently and thought differently, and like see how you guys were thinking about some of the things the same way, and how you guys were thinking about some of the things very differently. And even if we were thinking about things the same way, but presenting them in very different ways. So for me, I very much enjoyed just kind of being the Jane Goodall of the hackathon that night.
Yeah, and it was also great to see y'all working in a remote environment. I know everyone's had to face that challenge this year of how to collaborate virtually. So it just naturally flowed for you guys. Well done.
Yeah. And also great job on the presentations tonight, regardless of who wins. Speaking is always hard, even if it's from a camera instead of in front of a room. And I thought you
Okay, so all of the votes are in. Should I go ahead and announce who the winner?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, you're the one with this, the information. Denise, you're the one with all the power.
Oh, okay.
You get to be the, what was the guy, the Steve guy from MSNBC and the khaki pants? You get to be him.
Well, tonight's winner is Team BAP.
Woo!
Congratulations, Team BAP.
Great, wonderful job. And I just want to make sure I've got all your names. Yep, Brooke and Anna and Padme. Well done. Well done to everybody, guys. Brooke, Anna, and Padme, I have your email addresses. We will send that information to our company tomorrow and then send y'all virtual gift cards. So thank you all very much for participating in that. Everyone's done a great job.
Thank you all. It's really amazing. Nice.
We're not done. Congratulations to all the winners. We're very excited for Team BAP. And thank you everyone for participating. Denise, I think we have our upcoming events next. Oh no, we have Boss Ladies. Boss Ladies next. We did not have our board meeting before the November Boss Ladies. So our November Boss Ladies are Amanda Butterfield, who is a dedicated volunteer, and Jessica Cooper Adams, who has really contributed to this organization. And of course, we have Meredith McConnell for helping.
I didn't know I was going to become a boss lady.
I know, I had to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, so for helping us organize this night and for all the work that you put into this, that has earned you a boss lady status. So thank you for all that. It has been a lot of work to put this hackathon on in 2 different nights and coming up with the ideas and things like that. And Meredith was absolutely, this was her brainchild for bringing this to us. So thank you very much, Meredith, for that.
Thank you.
And then we have Taryn Wise, who is our new membership director. She was recently elected in October as our new membership director. And I believe she may have had to drop this evening for a work commitment, but Taryn, if you're still on, wave. I don't have everybody, I only have the screen, but you're going to see her name again here in a minute. Congratulations. Let's applaud all them. Their reactions. Woo, lots of applause tonight. And if any of the other boss ladies are still on the call, and you're going to get an email and everything too, but send me your address so I can mail you your boss lady goodies, because I'm the post office for AWT. And I'll get those to you. Next slide, please, Denise. Yay, congrats again. And then I did put the connect with us. I went and looked up all of the LinkedIn folks for all of our FDM colleagues here this evening.
Lovely, thank you. Would encourage y'all to connect with us.
Yep. So that's there, and we're going to hang out a little bit, and we need to do who's looking and who's hiring. And normally we have somebody to help transcribe all of those this evening, and I am not normally that person, and that person also had to leave for a work commitment. So you can still like unmute and talk about those things, but I'm going to ask you to also put it in the chat so we absolutely get it captured for one to go out on our Slack channel and also go out in our recap email. So who is looking? Anybody looking for a job?
Actually, I'm looking. I'm currently at my role, but I think we're going to end up kind of maybe doing a little bit of restructuring of our teams. So I'm going to keep an eye out for some other opportunities. So I'm currently the head of analytics, and I'm looking at state, and I oversee marketing, product, and revenue analytics. But I'm looking actually at my next role, wanting to be a little bit more strategic, because I have a lot of strategic planning and strategy background. I have a doctorate in sociology as well. So I'm looking at both insights types roles and chief of staff type roles and head of strategy. So if anybody has any ideas on that, and I will throw that in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. Who else?
I'm looking. Hi, my name is Irby, new member, just signed up yesterday.
Welcome.
Thank you. I am looking. I got laid off. My entire department got laid off due to COVID in October. I am a senior UX designer, and I just took some time off and recently started looking about a month ago. And I don't know what my next adventure I want it to be, but I'm being really selective based on where I was and what I did like and what I disliked.
Okay, well, we have great resources within AWT, and of course, Dress for Success. Hope you saw them earlier, that they have great resources for people who are job seeking as well. Be sure to reach out.
Hey, if I could just add, if you're in, there's a Slack channel and a group UX in ATX. Are you in that group? They post job opportunities.
That channel, but I did not see a UX and ATX channel.
I'll ping it to you in here. I'll ping you the name of it.
Thank you.
Okay, how about who's hiring?
I think Meredith's probably already told all of you guys that FDM is always hiring.
And do you have any?
Right. We hire around the year.
I was going to say, is there any specific roles you're trying to fill now?
Yeah, we hire year-round for software developers, kind of a blend of business and tech. For our tech ops stream, we have an AWS cloud program that we're launching in January, as well as a senior veterans advanced project management course that's starting in January as well. So if any of those are of interest to anyone here, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Again, our LinkedIns are on the screen.
And I just added our careers page as well, so that you can go on there and see kind of which cohort you would be more associated with. So if you're a returner to work, or if you're a little bit more experienced, generally speaking, our roles are entry level, but there are a couple there that may be for somebody who's been a little bit more senior. So again, I just recommend that you take a look at the website and see all the different roles. And if something speaks to you, as mentioned already, our LinkedIn's are there. Please reach out, and we're more than happy to go into particular details about it.
Great. Who else? I know we got recruiters on this.
I don't know if this is more appropriate, but I've actually had a couple people have reach out to me looking for inside sales and marketing and account executive roles at a couple of different companies that I have connections with. So if you're interested in that type of customer facing role, I have some people who are needing some people.
Great. Always report on our Slack channel too. Even if you know, like I posted like, hey, I know somebody who's looking for this, you know, even if it's that person's not a member or whatever, contact me and I'll connect you with them. So.
Emmy, Chris here with a quick question. What's the protocol for these referrals for non AWT members. I have a neighbor that I am working on recruiting to AWT, and she sounds like she might be a good fit for one of the opportunities Brooke just mentioned. What's appropriate there, if anything?
I would just connect her with Brooke. That's the point of networking.
Great.
Brooke, reach out to Brooke, connect her. Use this network so that it works for you. We're not strict on saying every connection that has to come and stay within AWT. This is an organization that is primarily for women supporting women and women supporting allies of women. So make that spirit grow.
This is Terry Pennington from the City of Austin Development Services Department. We're going to be looking for an info systems division manager probably in the next 3 months.
And the city is very, very particular about how you apply. So if you need advice, let us know. We have people through AWT that can help you with that. Terry, that's why I was mentioning. I know Terry's volunteered for that before. And we have other city employees, but they're very particular about how you do. Anybody else? Hiring. We'll come around. My husband's in the background going, hey, I might well then come over.
It's time for me to do my standard announcement for Athena Health. We are the 3rd largest electronic health record company in the US, and we're hiring all kinds of positions. You just go to the website athenahealth.com. We are located at the power plant downtown. During COVID, no one's actually
I was gonna say, for what location matters in 2020?
And if you find anything interesting, just reach out to me or Mary Ellen on Slack, and we can get you hooked up to a referral, and you'll go straight to the hiring manager. Like I said, just go look at the website and see what we have. We've been hiring like crazy.
And he is a Slack member, or he is an AWT member, so he is available on Slack. His name is Dana Heiler, and he used my full first name. I am Mary Ellen, by the way. So just reach out to Emmy, me or him, and we can connect you for anything at Athena.
Quick question to FDM. So people like me who are on immigration, is there any immigration support or sponsorship that is given by FDM?
I don't.
That's FDM.
No, unfortunately, we're not authorized to sponsor because we are a UK-based company.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyone else? Did we get all of those captured in the chat?
This is Chris Benovich. You may know me as the founder and executive coach for Austin Digital Coaching. I have a modest QA project coming up. So if you're just looking for something you can bang out in a day, that's my project.
Awesome. Anything else? All right. So Denise, do we have our membership slide next? Yeah. Yes, so if you're interested in membership, if you're not a member and you're interested, it is $60 a year. It is a low cost membership. And all of our members get into all of our virtual events for free. And you get the Slack channel, you get the great networking opportunities. We have the Great Boss Ladies program where we give special recognition to people who really help and serve this organization. So if you have any questions, please reach out to membership@awtaustin.org, and Taryn, who is our final boss lady of 2020, will reach out to you and follow up with you. We are still working on our program of events for 2021. We are going to be doing Who's Austin Hiring in January. We are just working out the details on what that's going to be. That's one of our most popular events of the year in January. So stay tuned for more information on that. All right, and I guess that's really kind of wrapping up. We can hang out and, with our FDM group. We have just a few more minutes left. And I just want to congratulate Team BAP again and thank all of our teams, Team SN and the suffragettes for participating tonight. And thank you very much for FDM for all of your participation and helping us out. You guys have been a tremendous support.
You've been awesome. Thank you very much, AWT.
Thank you so much for having us and letting us join from DC.
That's one of the great things about being virtual, though. Like, we had a speaker from Atlanta a couple months ago, and I was like, we would have never been able to do that had we had a in-person Austin event.
Definitely.
Here.
How often does FDM host and or sponsor hackathons?
Their first one. So, I mean, we did hackathons prior, but like virtual hackathons. So that's exciting to be able to take it to a whole, new crowd. But we've done a lot at campuses before, at universities.
Yeah, I think Betsy can take that one. She's
Sorry?
Yeah, so we are actually, what we're planning right now for the beginning of the spring semester is a North America wide tech week, and we'll be definitely sure to send you all an invitation to that. It'll be a week long of events. It's not just geared for students, it's really geared to anybody, and we'll be tackling a lot of different topics, including information technology and privacy, and how to protect our data, diversity in IT, as it will be towards the end of Black History Month. So we'll definitely send that to you guys. And then as far as hacks, as Meredith was alluding, we've helped sponsor a couple different hacks throughout our time, but we've never actually produced one. So we were really excited to take this on, and it's going to lead to probably a campus-wide hack at the end of May as well. So we do a lot of programming geared to the universities, but we do also open up a lot of our programming to the greater public.
That is awesome. I would look forward to seeing that invite. So thanks for bringing that up. I remember that you mentioned, well, actually, I think it was Meredith, mentioned in the presentation that you offer mentoring and coaching to your candidates. And I was wondering if you could share more about what sorts of topics that you use. For example, I've heard of recruiting firms hiring coaches to work with newly working in the United States. So kind of American business protocol and corporate culture protocol. So what, aside from the training that you offer, which is important, what specifically are you offering through your mentoring and coaching programming?
Did Meredith take off? I know she had to go.
Meredith took off, but I can jump in on this one here. So there are two parts to this. On the training side, on top of the actual tech skills, we do a lot of training in professional skills as well. General communication, whether it's writing, presentations, and of course this new video thing. But also when a person is on site, we do offer systems like a dedicated mentoring program where anyone who wants to can establish a mentee-mentor relationship with people like myself with the company who serve as mentors to help kind of guide them in continuing their education, but also picking up those skills like you were talking about, Chris, picking up those skills of, since so much of our personal market share is fresh out of college or returning to the workforce or veterans coming back home, right? These are people who don't necessarily have that experience. And because of FDM's years of experience in the corporate world, we can help kind of bridge that gap.
And as we actually provide, I guess it wouldn't be fair, I don't know if it's fair to call it mentorship, but even prior to folks signing on as consultants to FDM on the university campuses, we will do resume workshops. As a matter of fact, I hosted a networking workshop yesterday for the student veterans of the City University of New York. And that was open to all majors, regardless if they're interested in FDM or not. So we do a lot of these programs. We open them up to universities, student organizations, AWT, whoever is looking for that type of opportunity. And again, it's not always necessarily tech specific. We're really just looking to help anyone really launch their career, whether it's with FDM in technology or sometimes even higher education. I spent 16 years of my professional career in higher ed, and I'm still mentoring folks through FDM in what it looks like to work with different in that aspect.
Well, I've worked with a lot of recruiters in my years, and I have to say the mentorship aspect of your program is a differentiator.
Yeah, I mean, on a complete side note, like I mentioned, I just spent 16 years in higher education. Most recently, I was the director of veteran services at NYU. So almost all 16 years working with student veterans. And during that time, I've actually put through my own student veterans through FDM. So when the opportunity came here to join FDM and work as a university partnerships manager, I gave it some real consideration, and I felt that it really aligned with what I've been doing my whole career, which is really preparing students for their first career in particular, or transitioning out of the military. So to mention, Chris, to echo off what you said, yeah, that was the differentiator for me. The fact that this company really does want to help folks establish themselves and start their careers. And, I see the things that we've put in place to keep us accessible to a diverse population, to really promote technology in non-traditional tech populations. Simple things like not having a GPA requirement, because we know that research shows that a GPA requirement could be detrimental to certain diverse populations and underrepresented groups, and just those little things. So I really feel like FDM, I guess for lack of better terms, puts their money where their mouth is. When they say we're really here to launch your career, we really are here to launch your career and be supportive in that aspect, not only through the recruitment process, but even when you're with the company throughout your first few years and beyond, because I've seen that support system, again, with my very own students that I've put through the program and have left FDM, but are still connected.
I was going to say, my question is for graduates, or I don't want to use the word veterans, or people who've gone through your system. Do you guys keep track of like where their career goes? Do a lot of them convert to those companies, or do they just say this is great, and then like what is the after experience, I guess?
Yeah, so there's 3 tracks really to take after you've completed your 2 years with FDM. And so track 1 is to stay with FDM. We have a significant number of our consultants that decide to stay with FDM, whether becoming senior consultants or in different roles. About approximately 83% of our consultants are hired by the client that they're on site and become internal candidates. And the third is to, go out and consult freelance or take on another opportunity. I tell them, they go and spread their wings, and that's encouraged as well, because it really just grows our FDM alumni network. And so, like anything, you have a few folks who leave the nest and you might never hear from them again, and then you have some folks that continue to come around and provide that mentorship, that external mentorship, and create more opportunities for the next batch of incoming FDM consultants.
Yeah, just to build off of that, I work with the relationship management aspect, dealing with our clients and seeing what opportunities we can assist with to fill roles and needs that they have. And it's really great when you see our consultants, go from that consultant journey and convert to full time. And then after a while, they're actually part of the interview process and interviewing future FDM consultants and mentoring them once they're on site with them. So it really does go full circle, and it's great to see their growth with the clients once they do make that transition.
How many of you, or especially like recent college graduates, how many of them end up working for you in areas that are not related to the degree that they've just earned?
I don't have a set number on that. Do you, Betsy? I know, for example, we had one business analyst from one of our clients that left and then came back and is now working as a service delivery manager up in New York, but I'm not sure the total number or percentage.
Yeah, I would have to dig for that percentage. I can say that a good number of our consultants do have some sort of computer science background or engineering. But again, I think the perfect example is we brought on a consultant who had a doctorate in music and turned out to be a fantastic consultant. So we really are open to all different degree types.
And a lot of people end up like, I work with what my graduate degree is, but for years, I've never worked with what my bachelor's degree is. So,
well, I'm a political science major, bachelor's, never used it.
Yeah.
You used it so I can apply for my master's in counseling. That's about it.
Yeah. It was enough to say I have the wherewithal to stick to a degree program, and that was about it. That's all I was.
And you know what? And that's mostly what I tell students when they're like, why do we need this? And I was like, that piece of paper, that degree shows that you were mentally tough to go through a program and see it through.
Just to jump in real quick here. So not only do we see people come in with different backgrounds and transition, I mean, I actually like those people a lot, the people that come in with the music background or the engineering background and then switch into software development. But we also see things like software developers come in who have a passion in this field, and then they end up in a placement in like in the field, but still with like a different language. And very conveniently on this call, we have one of our consultants, Kendra, who recently went through our system, got placed with one of our clients. He's a fantastic success story that I take full credit for, and Sandra too. But with Kendra, who I'm sure will add on top of this, you have that background that is more focused in JavaScript, but you've landed a role in Pega, which is an entirely new world for you.
So I actually have my degree in speech pathology for the deaf and disabled. So it's very different from most people that, like you see a lot of people come in from business, things like that. So going from communications, especially for like small populations like I was focused on, is very different. And it is kind of weird, especially going through like the interview process. People ask you like, how'd you get here? And that's always a fun question to ask. But FDM did a really great job of like helping me verbalize how I got from there to here. And then I actually did take a boot camp which focused on JavaScript React, and that's like dream job goals where I'd like to be back at. But I'd learned Java through FDM, and then Centene actually hired me to be a consultant, and they are a Pega-based company. So FDM put me through a training to learn Pega. So for about 2 or 3 weeks, I learned Pega. I got certified in Pega, and now I consult for a company where I write in Pega and SQL. And it is really nice. If anyone does have questions, I'm happy to chat about FDM. I won't give you the like sales pitch. I'll give you the real experience, which is great, I promise. But yeah, so it is interesting that you asked like how many people come from different backgrounds. One of my trainees is actually like a math major. And so it's been really interesting to watch him go from like, how does, all these different equations work with coding? So we do see a lot of people come in with just crazy different backgrounds.
Great. Well, we are a couple of minutes over, and I would love to hang out, but I actually have to go to work now.
Oh no.
Night for me. That's one of the fun sides of computer programming is you have to release at nighttime after business hours. So I want to again thank everybody for participating, and again congratulations to Team BAP, and thank you FDM for participating tonight, and congratulations to Meredith from FDM for becoming a boss lady. Everyone have a
great night. So much. Bye everybody.
Thank you. Bye.